Previously on Follow the Leader. Today we're playing Blackborough Academy by Becky Annison. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. You play a group of teachers at a magical school, the Blackborough Academy. You are all friends and fought on the front lines of a war against the Shattered 15 to 20 years ago. Now you look after the next generation and hope they don't ever go through what you went through. Shepherd the next generation of teenage magicians whilst fighting back an old evil, the Shattered, confronting your past and evading the school governors. The first rule of Blackborough Academy, protect the students. This is your fight, not theirs.
Okay, I will be playing Seshmir Narash, known to the students as Professor Narash and other teachers as Seshmir. He uses he/him pronouns. Seshmir is a blue-scaled dragon person with flat silver eyes. He has a tail but no wings. He favors pale gray suits and an overcoat and some form of hat. He spent years as a private investigator before turning to academia, mostly to hide from the cult he accidentally created. He has an innate knack for domestic and cleaning magic, as well as being able to throw bolts of energy that push and pull their target around the area. But his area of instruction is summoning and demonology. What keeps Seshmir awake at night is the aforementioned cult of the Nameless Mother may come for him, and he is afraid that she is the one actually behind the Shattered.
I will be playing Marius Thank the Gods for Small Favors, Professor Favors to students, Marius to other teachers. They are agender and use they/them pronouns. They are a short and willowy person with long brown hair that they keep in an elaborate braid. They tend to wear formal robes even when not teaching. They choose to look this way because they have a strong sense of propriety, at least at a surface level. Their magical talent is ley line manipulation, and they teach ley studies primarily, mostly as an intro course, but they do sometimes offer more advanced courses. And they share interim head teachership with another teacher who will be announced. And what is keeping Marius up at night are nightmares to do with the last time the Shattered reared its head. They blame themselves for the rise of the Shattered and dream of succumbing to it.
I have pulled across Apricus the Luminary. Uses he/him pronouns. That is, Professor Apricus or Apricus. He's a mononym. No one calls him Mr. the Luminary. Please don't do that. He would think you're strange. The way that he looks, he's got tan skin, brown eyes. He keeps his hair oiled back and carefully trimmed and maintained, along with a groomed goatee. His clothes make him look like a poisonous animal between his bright red robe and acid green accents up and down. And he also has the leather accessories of a dabbler in the alchemical arts, including a bandolier, a belt, a satchel, and a very good pair of thick leather boots. His magical talent relates to the weather, in particular its small-scale elemental evocation, and just a little bit of potion making that he does, mostly to the level of being dangerous, maybe not necessarily competent. His subject is a basic elemental magics, and his advanced courses are group rituals to cause large weather patterns, rainstorms or snow, thunder and lightning, temperature fronts, and some of the bigger ones. The thought that keeps him awake at night is what it took for him to fight back the Shattered alongside everyone. And I'll read this out as literally as I typed it. The sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, even with eyes closed, the sun.
So I will be playing Morden Faraday, that's Mix Faraday to students, Morden to the staff. Mostly mask individual who uses he/him pronouns. He has light tan skin, dark brown hair, almost black, threaded with silver that falls around jaw length, and dark eyes, usually hidden behind blue-lensed glasses. In dress, he favours modern clothes as opposed to traditional wizarding robes, in blacks, dark blues, greys, and purples, and more silver accessories than is practical. And he dresses like that because he is that bitch, as I have written in the notes. He is just that bitch. His magical talent is communication without borders, multiple languages, sigils, symbology, linguistics, telepathy. If it involves communication between people or things over time and distance, that's what he can do. What he teaches, however, is spellcraft and composition, the core components and methodology of how magic is channeled in spellcasting, the limitations of it, and the impact of culture and the self on how magic is cast, as well as the writing and creation of new spells and ritual magics. And the thing keeping him awake at night is the nightmares, both his and those of others he can't keep at bay, and prophetic dreams that he cannot pass.
And I will be playing, alive and awake for the first time on this podcast, Edward Park.
Woohoo!
I have asked at least once for my colleagues to call me Ed, whether or not they do so, or just call me Edward. We'll see. Ed is a Korean man, just above average height, but a bit on the weedy side. He's got black hair that comes just below the chin, that's usually gathered into a top knot. He's got stubble. He does wear the formal robes. They're hemmed to a practical length. He would describe them as black robes with gold accents. Most other people would describe them as gold robes. And I feel like the bylaws say that the head teacher has to wear blue. And so he's got just like a blue wristband that he wears. His magical talent is the anatomy of magic. Basically, why does magic work the way it does, and how does one replicate it, which is theoretically quite useful when teaching students how to perform it themselves. He is primarily focused on head teaching duties. He takes on most of the administrative responsibilities for that, and leaves most of the job that requires skill and proficiency with magic to Marius. But Ed will also oversee potion labs. What keeps him awake at night is the governors. They distrust that we can stop the Shattered should it return. I tell myself I fear that they are wrong and will make things worse, but in truth, I fear that they're right.
We now return to your game, already in progress. All right, so the opening scene. Start the game with an immediate problem for the teachers. This should have something weird about it, which could indicate a link with the Shattered. There is a suggested start below, but feel free to create your own. The suggested start is a student has come to the staff room in extreme distress. They have found a body at the edge of the school grounds. It is corrupted and twisted so badly they cannot identify it. Something has come to the boundary of Blackborough Academy, something eerily familiar to certain teachers at the school. Do we want to use this start, or do we want to create our own?
It's a strong start.
It is.
Do we want it to be a humanoid body?
So, if we compound on that, and a bit on things I said earlier, good question, do we want it to be a human body? I counter-propose that it is, in fact, the bodies of several birds that we'd sent off sort of over the months or so, just for communications, that have finally all arrived at once in this horrendous state.
Oh,
Yeah, all at once, as in the bird now has 3 beaks and
I was going to say like
7 legs.
a rat king, but bird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Upsetting.
That sounds horrific. Let's do it.
Biblically accurate bird, let's go.
Yeah, so which poor impressionable child has shown up in extreme distress here?
I vote Parker.
Oh, buddy.
Look, of all of the characters we've described, Parker feels like the most likely to be in extreme distress about it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Now, the next question is, which teacher is the one who actually tries to get Parker to stop crying in a way that's not, oh god, please stop crying?
Play to find out what happened.
I guess that's a question of who is GMing first.
Mm.
And then that's probably not them.
Well, as I have thrown Parker under the bus, proverbially speaking, August, did you want to effectively GM the first scene, as you're going to be effectively playing a student?
Sure. Yeah.
Rock on.
So, in this particular universe, Parker is also like a dragonborn type character, kind of short with red and brown scales, and he is definitely crying and says it's and just can't seem to get out anything substantive.
I look fondly at our cast of folks. I press my hands together. Oh boy.
Important question before we clarify. Are we assuming like the school is like a boarding school? Like residential? Or do the kids go home at the end of the day?
That's a very good question.
Given that our whole thing is protecting the students, I feel like it's more likely that it's residential.
Yeah.
I think they're put up here so they have a safe environment to explore this at all hours. It's not necessarily very public.
All right. So what? I was gonna say, what day of the week is this? Is this like after the day's lessons, or is this like the weekend? Like the students have like leisure time.
I like it being after the day's lessons because, maybe midweek, so that way we have to deal with this and we have to deal with the fact that there's still school tomorrow.
Keep the plate spinning, yeah. But really the question is who best to calm down a crying teen?
I don't know. I'm imagining Parker's being a tween in this scenario.
Also fair.
Like 13, 14?
I was thinking 13. Yeah.
Alternative point, who worst to calm down?
Somebody can call Morden in, but I don't think Morden is there right now. Touch my nose, not it.
I'm delaying a bit further while I finish chewing through this bar.
Am I volunteering to be best or worst? Who can say? But
you're
You're volunteering to find out whether you're the best or the worst.
All right, Mr. Young. I will come take a look at what you've seen, and let's figure it out together.
And Parker is just like taking in huge gulping breaths. It's just like, okay.
Bless. Just sweet boy. Sweet they.
And I think Parker leads Ed to the edge of the grounds, and this is a question. Are we in like a wooded area? Are we in a mountainous area? Are we on a beach?
Coastal could be fun.
I'm sorry, I just thought of that wizard beer short. Like the mountain prairies.
Wizard beer. Yeah.
But no, I'm just picturing not as ominous looking, but like how in The Last Unicorn, King Haggard's castle is like right on the beach. Like we could have a little bit like that. Like the school has a little bit of beach and stuff. Maybe people get here by boat.
Ooh.
I like it.
Just a quiet little K.
I like that a lot.
But yeah, so we have beach.
Okay. So Parker leads Ed to the beach, and I think on the beach but not like this pile of bodies is not in such a fashion that it's washed up. Like, you know, the tide is way far out, and the birds don't appear to have been washed up, nor is there any obvious sign of how they got there. I mean, you know, they're birds, they can fly. Maybe with the way that their bodies are all twisted, you're not sure if they're capable of flight anymore. But it's hideous enough to make a 13-year-old cry, so...
Parker, I'm going to ask you to be brave for me for another minute, because I need to know a couple of things.
Okay.
Did you find them like this, or did you see them fall?
I found them like this. It's... I didn't see anything. It's just... I was on the beach, and then I saw them, and I don't know what to do, so I came and got you.
Alright. Was there a noise? Was there a popping sound, or was there a smell?
See, August's first inclination, like, I always associate ozone with magic whenever I'm allowed to make that distinction. But I don't think that this would be regular magic, so what would it smell like? I don't want to do, like, brimstone because that feels overplayed, but...
Rotten fruit.
Ooh.
Yes. So, Parker describes, you know, kind of a cloying, sickly sweetness, which has been... It's dissipated by now. It's been overridden by the salt of the sea air.
Parker, you made the right choice. And you've been very helpful. I'd like you to go back now, because I'm going to try some things. And they may end up a little upsetting. I'm going to try to help these birds if I can. But I don't want to make things worse for you.
Parker has largely stopped crying now and is just like, oh, okay, I'll go back. And trudges back towards the academy. What are you going to do to these birds?
What I was thinking is that I am going to either have my magic fail or do something successful with unintended consequences. I think Ed is trying to basically unwind what magic made them this way. Like, try to find seams between the different body parts here. Like, try to unravel, like, what these joints feel like they are sourced from. And see if he can kind of tease them apart.
So which would you prefer, your magic failing or having unintended consequences?
I don't know that I can think of consequences that are serious enough to get a token out of it.
I mean, doing a ritual like that with this could serve as a beacon of some kind.
Yeah, I have an idea for some consequences.
Okay, hit me.
So you're able to feel the joints between these birds and, you know, kind of pick at the seams between them, but in doing so, all of the beaks, let me put it that way, all of the beaks open and start crying, like shrieking in a language you do not understand, but you know in your bones that these are words and you do not want to understand them. But they are shrieking loudly enough that it is entirely possible that other people could be drawn to this. Which is also, if somebody wants to overhear this and come running.
Yeah, I think this... Let me pitch something.
Mm-hmm.
I think once this starts, I am trying to stop it specifically so Morden doesn't hear any of this, but I can't stop it fast enough.
Sounds good.
I would like to take a token from this.
Take that token.
Hell yeah.
I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier, but all teachers start with 1 token and you cannot have more than 3 tokens at a time.
Good to know.
You must eventually stop failing.
Do we want Morden showing up to be the same scene, or do we want to move to a new scene? I suppose is your
I was
ritual
just wrapping that up in the consequences.
Yeah. No, please, then go ahead.
Yeah, just in the sense that Morden's specialty is communication without borders.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. I just wanted to know if you wanted to have him come down and have words with you then, or whether it's the consequences are in the next scene.
I leave that up to you, what you would like to do.
How deeply unhelpful of you.
Let's move to a new scene, because unless you specifically want Morden on the beach, and if you don't have a strong feeling about it, then
scene.
let's move to a new scene.
Cool.
So are the birds now separate, though? To clarify, were you able to? And was it the magic failing, or or was it unseen consequences?
I think it is unintended and serious consequences.
So you separate the birds, gotcha.
The birds might not be alive, but they are separated.
Well, that's something.
Okay, well then let's have this next scene, which is in one... I guess I'm now GMing it. Hello, I'm here now. We're in one of the labs, I guess. And it's that evening. And I think we're all present. The students have maybe even it's post the evening meal, and they're sort of have their homeroom times or whatever it's called. And the 5 of us, the 5 of us are assembled, and these 3, or however, how many birds did we end up with once the mass was separated?
I kind of want it to not be a whole number.
Yeah.
Where's my math rocks?
Yeah, we have... I think it would be fun if we have enough parts to make at least 5 birds. But there are extra parts available as well.
And all the parts don't quite fit together.
Grand. Okay,
Yeah,
so
there are 3 whole birds and
enough parts for 2 and a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awful.
Sorry.
Play tabletop
No,
games
good
with your
though.
friends. Have fun. Describe horrors. So yeah, the 5 of us are here, assuming Ed sort of let everybody know, or if he didn't, Morden would have been like, "Nah, we're gonna talk about it." Actually, just the 5 of us stood around this worktop or workbench.
Well, since we've got 3 whole birds, I think Apricus would have gone to the extent of at least pinning those ones up, so we can observe to see if there's anything else abnormal about them. And the rest of the bird parts are just kind of loosely arranged into this could be a whole being, but it doesn't seem to be. Okay. So, to recount the situation, you found these on the shore, in one mass, together in some sort of bird ball. And you separated them, and what exactly happened at that point?
They began to scream in an ancient language that I do not care to know.
Putting his hands together. But did you understand any of it? Like, even just intuitively?
That is a fascinating question. I chose to not understand. It's possible that it was not something I could have understood, but I suppose the intuitive sense that I should not attempt to understand is, in itself, a kind of understanding. Sort of thing you can tie yourself up in knots about.
I'm suddenly glad that I chose to focus more on the elements than the languages. Gesturing out to the rest of the room.
You just...
Please, theories, interpretations, anything.
You gesture, and Morden is just looking at you like, bitch, I am right here.
You're the last word. I mean, I'd like to have a somewhat open discussion before we go to the expert to see what oddball things we can throw out before we arrive at what's probably the answer.
Oh, fuck me then. I'm not just have a...
If you'd like to propose something, you know.
Don't use the phrase, would you like to propose after I've just said fuck me, Apricus.
Maybe not the best of timing.
No, but by all means, chat amongst yourselves. And I think Morden is sketching out some kind of alphabet or words, but it's definitely a script. I don't think anyone can pass. It's certainly not an alphabet that you immediately recognize, though it is recognizably an alphabet.
Horrifying. Seshmir, Marius, anything, ideas, thoughts? Winds of origin?
These birds were trained to follow ley lines.
Nodding.
Seshmir is hunched over the tray of parts, poking at them with a pen. They're not the same species, and they're not native to this area.
No, but if you look at these markings here, and Marius gestures at, like, the particular color of some quills on some of the feathers, you can tell that they were aligned with the flow of magic. What that means doesn't bode well.
Horrifying.
Does that spot on the shore actually sit on a ley line?
I mean, the whole school does. There are branches and eddies all around here. If you were to set a bird to trace a ley line, it would run into us eventually. If you set it from anywhere within 100-mile radius.
The sticking point for me, and here I must make a bit of a correction, Apricus, is that I did not find this bird. A student did.
Oh.
Who?
And so if it was sent, it wanted to be seen by someone other than us.
Which student?
Nick's Young.
Ugh.
Oh, so the whole school knows now. Excellent.
Always a good start. Okay, well... Yeah, and I see that you've been sketching something, Morden. Would you care to share now?
Well, it's not one that I'm super fluent in. Bear in mind that I only was able to hear a very small amount of it before somebody shut things down. Glez, looks over the top of glasses at Ed.
Remorseless.
Mostly it's some iteration, as best I can tell, of nest or safety or home. And it's take us, send us, wanting, needing. The specifics aren't clear, but I think we're all able to pass the meaning from that.
Marius is like fiddling with the hem of the sleeve of their robe.
Oh, I'm going to take a token for making things worse, by the way.
Yeah.
With that little reveal.
Good, beautiful. Well, I think question number 1 and 2 is 1. Who would like to deal with addressing this to the students? And 2, how much... I'm not sure I want to broach this one, actually, but I should. How much of a chronic problem do we think this might blossom into, based on past circumstances?
We should set up some kind of system or a warding charm all around the borders if something else comes in. I mean, it could get in through the border, so clearly there is enough of our birds in this gestures at the trays of bird. There's enough of our birds to be able to get here.
Well, I have classes out in the field. I'm more than happy to start laying down ritual lines as we go about.
Take Seshmir with you. Specializes in summoning. He can specialize in finding other people's summonings.
As it were. A perfect proposal. Of course, assuming that you don't mind coming about in the fields.
No, let's do it.
All right. Then we're the field team. I suppose that leaves the 3 of you to counsel.
Joy.
Well, I can talk to the students if you want.
That is probably my job.
Do you want me to write something for you, Edward?
If you're offering, that may be wise.
Flip over a page. Start writing.
If your suspicions are correct and Mix Young has indeed informed the rest of the student body, it's only a matter of time before the governors catch wind of what's going on.
Ugh.
So you'll be leading the political side of things, I assume.
Marius closes their eyes and pinches the bridge of their nose against an impending headache. I suppose you're right, that does fall to me. And I think everybody around here catches Marius pause and they glance towards the window. But if you follow their gaze, there's not really anything there.
Just sort of raising an eyebrow and peering over for a few moments, but I think Apricus just carefully adjusts the eye patch to make sure it's a touch more secure.
Feels like scene to me.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I put my hints together. Shall we go afield first, or do we want to deal with the student 3 and how this may be affecting them?
I think Team Field would be fun.
Team Field! Okay, then out we go. I think where it is the beach is sort of the natural start, but with what Marius noted about these birds being aligned to ley lines, and especially with what Seshmir noted with them not being native to the area, it's difficult to find a particular starting point outside of just the beach as it sits. I mean, as the crow flies, to put it lightly, there are a lot of places where I'm sure migratory patterns cross overhead, but Apricus is a man of the weather. He's not really particularly knowledgeable about this, that, and the other of what goes around in the natural world, so I think he finds himself rather reliant on Seshmir in just finding a good place to start. That said, wherever they set about in particular, he will have brought with him materials to start laying down wardings, like papers for amulets, a broad stick to carve lines into the earth with, crystals and other sorts of things to provide for at least focuses to catch the light of stars, moon, and sun as they swing overhead and help with providing some assurance against at least more natural things. Although if it gets to a point further than that, well, help us after that point. That's kind of the problem. But as he's setting these things up, I think he would look over to Seshmir and just sort of grunting, carving what he can about, is there anything that you can spot just from our locale? I think he would have started out from the beach, probably not too far out from there, into more of where the sand gives way to land.
So by contrast, as they leave the school and head out onto the beach, Seshmir is just kind of shuffle walking along, going, "We're going on a field trip. We're going on a field trip."
Finally away from the grounds for a little bit.
So, ley lines aren't really my thing, but if it was following it, I guess we find the closest one to the beach that heads inland and follow it.
Very true. Well, can we assume that Marius would have provided some sort of detector or dowser for this?
Yeah, I think the ley lines around Blackborough Academy are pretty extensively mapped. Like, you've got one main incoming ley line, but you've got a bunch of branches, kind of like a river delta almost. Okay. And there's a physical map. So that way you don't have to go dowsing on your own. You can just look at the map and see.
Beautiful. I think Apricus would have brought an implement along just in case there was something that we weren't aware of, but, it's fine, probably, right? So.
Yeah, Marius would be fine loaning out, a set of, student dowsing rods for this. No need for anything super fancy, but you have it if you need it.
Student dowsing rods. Beautiful. But yes, how now, Professor? Do you see anything out here which draws your attention?
Not immediately, so we should probably keep following the line.
Right. You lead out that way. As we go, and Apricus will lay down the staff that he's been using, I'll start drawing. I think as we follow along that ley line, what it is as opposed to new ones popping up or signs of use, I think it might be that there is almost a breaking in them that seems not so much like it was carved apart by natural processes, but almost severed. And rather than it being the case where, it wears out over time or, how there's a natural resettling of things, I think it's a place where the energy is bleeding out onto the earth. I get the distinct image of like two plumbers sitting around a big leak happening and just kind of like hands in the overalls like, well, look at that.
Yep.
Yeah, I was really imagining like a cut power line or like a fuel line and it's just like dripping out almost. Like the magical energy. It's very funny. Yep, there's the problem.
Well, god dang. But yeah, I think Apricus for his part would be trying to work around this. How does Seshmir deal with ley line leakages or just magical problems in general like this? Is this causing anything within his area, or is this causing anything within the skies that he can spot, you think?
Seshmir is more or less just poking at it magically.
Beautiful. Tug it out, pull it back in.
Like, see,
Does it respond to fire? Does it respond to water?
Yeah, like...
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. Just like how it also responds just to the act of magic as well, like being forced or being pulled on. Is it like a piano string being plucked, like, or being struck? Is it more like... Yeah, no, it's cool. I love that visual.
It's like a multi-tool situation almost. Okay, yeah. And I think Apricus, meanwhile, like, does the equivalent of setting up, like, the traffic cones to guide people around it. 4 big wooden stakes just kind of claimed from nearby with crystals jury-rigged up on the sides to take care of the basics and to try and contain it, but there will be at least some built up. Oh, what to do within the actions available. I feel like that is a make things worse kind of thing, actually.
I mean, talking
Yeah.
about the severed ley line spewing out energy, I think you already made it worse.
Yeah.
Positive.
I think that's a made things worse situation. I'll take one for that one, but... Or rather, in this case, increasing the pressure, I guess, is more properly it.
With Seshmir poking at it, does it react at all? Does it get stronger?
Ooh, yes. Okay, so we're on a particularly potent network of ley lines, as previously established. I think when it gets poked at, it's inconsistent, right? You would think with a flow like this, with something magical, that it would be almost constant, that it's like a current that just keeps running through, but I think as it's prodded, rather than it spurting or bleeding out on the earth, it's almost like it clots in response to any attempts to just provoke it. Like, as it's prodded, as it's poked, as Seshmir runs through various just diagnostic attempts, it's a clog that goes off and then on again, off and then on again. Would he stop there? Would he try to be more forceful with it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're pulling out the pipe cleaner. So I think then what happens is, at first, it's kind of like it's capped. And there is a quiet for a bit. And then there is a build-up, as with more force, it just erupts in great spurts. I think what comes around it is the grasses around. It's almost as if they are accelerating through life. They grow, they bloom, they flourish, they die. They go through 4 seasons in 4 minutes. And there is a clear, not presence, but energy that very quickly charges the air after it's been forced through.
Note to self, don't provoke it more. Got it.
Don't. I think we have 2 teachers now attempting to stem the flow of magic in an area, which is just great. I'm sure it's not causing a beacon at all. I think alongside this might be cause for, maybe pulling in someone else, or maybe someone else noticing and running in, however you choose. Hey, how are things going at home while this is all happening?
Well, I was going to say, before we went to the next thing, we could just extrapolate the chatting to the students.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I do like the visual of just of Seshmir and Apricus out there. Seshmir just like, note to self, don't provoke it. And Marius just being acutely aware of something with the ley line. Like, but also, even if it's not like a physical awareness, like when your lights flicker when there's a power surge, just that innate sort of like, oh. And my I have to go.
Or when one of your appliances is draining water and you hear gurgling from all the other drains throughout the house.
Oh, beautiful. I love it when the Academy magically brownouts.
Yeah.
All of the torchlights flicker in a very particular way. We've done a bad thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Good job, field trip team.
Good job, field trip team. We're so successful.
So that sounds like I make things worse.
Yeah, I think you both get a token for that scene. For sure.
Yeah.
I guess the general question then is, in the midst of all this happening and Marius having to rush out to fix things, how are things going with the students? What's the extrapolation here?
I mean, the rumor mill's going.
The rumor mill's going.
I suppose the question that Morden will ask Ed is, how much truth do we want to put in this? Given, our main thing is protect the students.
They're children, not idiots. We can't lie.
All right. And then I think what Morden comes up with is things just like one of your fellow students, not naming names obviously, found a creature corrupted by some magical force. The staff are looking into what caused it, and we would ask that for the time being students stay away from the beach in case there are further incidents, and that we will keep them updated when we know more. Like treating them like young adults, just like, hey, this is the information you have, we're going to keep you in the loop. Because otherwise there's going to be some upstart trio or duo or team of kids like, the staff aren't telling us everything, we need to investigate. 'Cause, that's how these things go.
Exactly what I want to avoid. Granted, I think regardless of what we do, we are about to make the beach extremely popular. Such are the risks.
Morden adds to the statement, the creature has been removed. There will be nothing to find on the beach. We would ask the students to please respect this choice. It is for your safety. This message does apply to all students. Yes, that includes you, Mr. Solel. Please, do not investigate of your own accord.
I'm looking at this, and I can't think of a single thing that when I was that age I wouldn't have heard and said, no, I'm going.
All right, Edward. You write what you want to write, okay? I appreciate that teenagers are going to be teenagers.
It's not a criticism of you, Morden. It's a criticism of youth.
You are not old enough to talk about teenagers like they're a different species.
And you're not old enough to pretend you know better than me.
What if I do know better than you and it has nothing to do with age? Look, all right, that was out of line. I
didn't say that.
No, but I'm grown up. I'm man enough to admit when I've stepped out of line or maybe done something not in the best interests of everybody. Do you know what those birds screaming sounded like, Ed?
I don't think I want to, but I'm not going to stop you.
It sounded like children.
And that's the moment that the magical brownout hits.
Beautiful. Thank you, Richard. Yes, good.
Good. Beautiful.
Beautiful. All right. Next scene. It's got to be.
From the rotation of GMs, am I taking over Baroness Cartwright?
I can voice.
Accosting Marius?
You can frame the scene and I can play her if you want. Whatever you like.
Okay. Fair enough.
If you want to play the Baroness, I will not stop you. I fully believe in your ability to play an imperious bitch. I have faith in you.
Well, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, so you, Marius, or our office, rather, is given notice that the Baroness will be visiting shortly.
Question. By shortly, how shortly does that mean?
I feel like as soon as a boat can get her out there. Yeah.
Like same day or the next day?
Same day.
Oh boy.
Just like, I've put myself on your Outlook calendar for 4 hours from now.
Oh boy.
Just like, this is the day that Ed makes this address to the student body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an hour later we get this notice.
So if it was, because it was afternoon, evening when this all went down, so is this now the next day?
Yeah.
I think Marius has not really slept much, as they've probably run off to the severed ley line to try to figure out what,
What Apricus and Seshmir did, yeah. What did they break? What did they
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. I didn't want to put it like that, but yeah.
No, you come to the two contractors going, well, ain't that a thing?
Yeah. And so, Marius has been not, maybe they've gotten like a couple of hours of sleep by the time the Baroness gets there, and they're looking kind of rumpled. So, they're not beating there's something horribly wrong here allegations.
Marius, are you who I'm dealing with today?
Baroness?
Edward too much of a coward to meet me himself, huh?
Edward is many things, but a coward is not among them.
I tease, of course. So, you know why I'm here.
Marius does not say anything, but I think everybody can feel the unfortunately hanging in the air between them. I believe that you are here on official business. This is not a pleasure trip.
Well, this school isn't exactly my idea of a vacation destination. Yes, of course I'm here on business. Edward did a fairly poor job of reassuring me that the situation was well in hand. I wish to see things for myself.
I think Marius bristles at that and then says, reassurances are not Edward's strong suit, but he is not dissembling. Things are well in hand. I will show you whatever you like to see, but they are pointedly not offering, volunteering any information.
Well then, please. I wish to see your progress on the investigation of this intrusive creature. I mean, something that can get within the boundaries of the school grounds. I've been assured many times that's incredibly difficult, nigh impossible to do. So I trust you have an explanation.
I am going to spend the token that I have
Okay.
to cover something up.
Yeah.
Very good.
And Marius is going to nod curtly and take Baroness Cartwright to where they have the remains of the birds. And they are going to spin a yarn about how they suspect that an eruption of magic nearby caused some mutations to some of our messenger birds, which had the unfortunate side effect of distressing our poor student body, but we are remapping the ley lines in the area and will redirect our messengers away from this particular eddy until further notice. It was an unfortunate accident, but one which we will not repeat.
The Baroness has, like, a little notebook to hand. She is writing in it this whole time, but you can absolutely see her lose the thread partway through of like, oh, I can't, if this is something I can't see through it. And she looks almost disappointed to believe you.
Now, that having been said, Baroness Cartwright, I appreciate your interest in the goings-on here, but I do have a fair amount of work ahead of me remapping the ley lines in the place with the disturbance and seeing if we can quell said disturbance in a timely fashion. So, if you will excuse me.
Yes, of course. Your time is, I'm sure, quite valuable, but our responsibility, you understand, yours and mine, is to the safety of the students.
Of course.
It has been difficult to take the goings-on of the school on faith, especially with Arcady gone. I'm sure you understand.
Arcady was a superlative head teacher, and once they return from sabbatical, they will once again be... And Marius is definitely floundering here. They will once again administer this school with aplomb.
Well, I know the other governors share your optimism, but we can only wait so long. I look forward to speaking with one of the two of you again quite soon.
Of course. That feels like scene.
Yeah.
Marius runs off to... I can't decide if they go to tell Ed what happened or if they go to drag Apricus and Seshmir back to the ruptured ley line. Be like, you know, you made this worse, you're going to help me fix this.
Richard, you want to GM a scene?
To be continued.